Good evening, everybody. It's Patrick from 8 Questions With, and it's Thursday, the end of the week here on the show. So thanks for coming in. Our guest, singer, actress, and published poet, ConStance Steele, will be here with us. We originally were supposed to do a show with Constance on the 20th of October, but we had to reschedule it for today. And so we were able to make that work, make that happen. And so Constance will be with us here in about 15 minutes or so. But I want to say a special thank you to all the kind people that came out and hung out with us last night. It's sort of weird. I initially was just gonna forget about the show. I thought we'd just do a general talk and whatnot. But I enjoyed that show so much that I decided that I am not gonna let 201 go by. I'm gonna make our show that we had yesterday, which was an informal chat after our initial guest, our no called, no showed on us, and yeah, I'm gonna do that after this show here. I just thought, we had a lot of fun. There's a lot of people came out for it, so why not? And so this will be show number 202 with Candace Steele. So hey, Anthony, I'm glad you're feeling better, buddy. I saw that. I just left you a little note. Uh, but you and I are close. I'd like to think, well, maybe not as close as some of your real good friends, but we're pretty close. After all, I did interview you, and you are one of my better friends here on the tube and on Facebook. Um, so yeah, I'm glad you're feeling better. It seems like a lot of people have gotten sick this week. Our good friends Gory and her husband Danny, Danny Nightmare, I hear are feeling underneath the weather. So I want to shout out to Gory and Danny to feel better. Our friend Sean Riley, our actress Sean Riley, she just commented that she was not feeling particularly perky. So shout out to our friend Sean Riley, and of course the mighty Hobbs Whore. Uh, and he wasn't feeling too perky today. So give a shout out to Hobbs Ford. Hopefully he gets better. So yeah, it's been a weird day. A weird day. Hello, bud. How are you? I've been keeping up with all your thankful videos and posts. I think those are awesome. And I think that's a really nice trend that people are doing. I probably should have jumped on that trend. Thankful for, after all this Thanksgiving here in November, I probably should have jumped on that because I know I do have a lot to be thankful for as too, and I should actually comment on that, and so I will. I'm very thankful for everybody that comes out to my channel, and everybody comes out to my show, and everybody comes out to see my guests and ask questions and make them feel welcome. I'm thankful for everybody that comes over and drops a comment, takes the time to drop a comment. I am appreciative of that. I'm appreciative of the fact that like I said, I have a lot of good friends here, and and so a lot to be happy about. Um, but this is also a tough day too. I'm not going to lie to you. Today is the November 10th, so tomorrow marks the anniversary once again. My brother Peter, he was murdered. Um, he was murdered. Well, I think it's now 28 years now, but it still feels like yesterday. It's true. It's gun violence came and touched my family on November 11th, and my brother was killed by a young man who was showing off a stolen gun that he had bought off the street, and yep, killed him in his own house in front of his dad and my younger brother. So it's a hard day tomorrow. I know tomorrow's Veterans Day, but I just find it the most ironical day of the year. We're celebrating the soldiers to keep us safe from enemies, outside the country, and yet inside the country we kill ourselves. It's hard. It's hard. Hey, there's Nanette and Jimmy and Jack hanging out. So a little bit about our guest tonight, ConStance Steele. So she is a very versatile, multi-talented artist. She is a model. She has done she's recorded. She's a singer. She's done some recorded projects. She's also a writer. She is a published poet. She is an actress, a screen queen. She's done a few films. I'm going to get that out there, um, including one film. We'll be talking to her about. She appeared in the film Officer Down, and so we'll talk to her about that. And of course, writing and writing's a skill, and modeling and singing. I mean, she can do it all. She's definitely a multi talented artist, and we have a lot to talk about tonight. That's for sure. Um, so I'm glad you guys are all here. Um, those who care to share us out, that would be awesome. Thank you so much. Now that everybody can share us out, that's what's so cool about the community tab now being available to everybody. Now everybody can share everybody else out. That's cool. Um, and so those who care to do that, I appreciate it. Our guests will be on here in about 10 minutes or so. Um, so I guess they dropped the trailer for John Wick 4 today. Um, John Wick is coming out in March next year, and they dropped the trailer out, and it looks it looks pretty cool. I have to admit, it looks pretty cool. The usual action set pieces were there. Not a lot of dialogue, obviously, but we get to see some old friends pop up. John Wick was there along with the Bowery King, and of course Winston, the owner and operator of the Continental in New York. He's there, um, and according to the trailer, we find out that John Wick's family, like his blood family, is a member of the table. I don't think he realized that. So, according to the plot, John Wick will have an opportunity to he'll have an opportunity to get out from underneath everything that's on top of his shoulders if he does one more job, which we've already heard that sort of. We already sort of heard that in part two and part three. I'm hoping that this doesn't become a cliche, like just I hope that I like to see him. You don't want to meet every single person and sit there and say, okay, now if you beat this guy in a one-on-one fight, you'll be free. And he does that and comes back and says, now if you beat this guy, you'll be. So, well, we will see. Um, the Continental series, they're going to do a prequel for this, and they are, but it's only going to be three. It's only going to be a three-part event. Um, Hi, Andre. How are you, sir? Glad you're here. Glad you're here. So the Continental will be a three-part event, and it's gonna be a prequel. It will be about probably when Winston took over, ran the hotel, took over the hotel. I don't see John Wick being in the Continental, but you never know. I mean, probably a version of his younger self, sure, when he first joined the organization. And then we have another spinoff called Ballerina, in which is going to be taking place. The feature the It's going to be the dance troupe that we saw Angelica Houston run, is also, I guess, a training ground for assassins. So they're going to base a movie based on there, with Anna de Armas, who is a very hot actress at the moment, and she will be the star of that movie. And we've heard confirmation that Winston will be in that movie as well, but no John Wick so far. So far, no John Wick. So I have a feeling that Sharon will also be a part of Ballerina as well, playing a part in that. Um, so it looks to be pretty fun. Looks to be pretty fun. And the other big news is that King Kong and King Kong Godzilla sequel got a title, and it's so the first last movie we had was King Kong versus Godzilla. Now it's going to be Kong and Godzilla. That's the title, Kong and Godzilla. And so they're supposed to have already wrapped the principal photography for that movie, so they've already shot it. We don't know. We do know that there will be two monsters because Kong and Godzilla are going to be teaming up in this one. So there will be two monsters. There will be two. We don't know who they are yet. I am betting. If I was a betting man, I'm betting on Gigan for being one of the two. If they had to press me for it, I would say that the second one probably will be Destroyer. Will most likely be Destroyer. But we will see. You know, now of course, now they have Godzilla and because Godzilla is right now, it's very, very popular. Toho is actually going to be doing a new Godzilla movie in 2023 as well. The American version of Godzilla is going to be coming out in 2024. They said that it'll take about a year to do the prep for, do all the effects for Godzilla and Kong. And they mentioned that, also to promote the movie. Honestly, you don't need to promote that movie. That movie's already promoted already. People are already hyped for it. So as far as that goes, I don't think you have to worry about that too much. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Definitely going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it, especially if Gigan's there. That seems to be Gigan is he's pretty. That's the only problem is with the Godzilla movie in Japan is you don't know who he's gonna. Like in Shin Godzilla, they did not have him fight anybody. It was just Godzilla. It was almost like a retelling of his origin story. In Godzilla 1954, it was just Godzilla. He didn't fight anybody. He popped up there and whatnot. It wasn't until the next movie that we started seeing other kaiju. I know that they said in the press release that there'll be an old like a monster that hasn't been seen in a long time, a legendary monster. I'm just trying to figure that out, and it cannot be Anguirus. I love Anguirus. He's a badass, but there's just no way, not unless they gave him a severe power upgrade, will he be considered a challenge. Whereas Gigan, especially Gigan Rex. Now, if they put Gigan Rex into the new Godzilla movie, holy shit, that could be actually pretty amazing. And I could actually even see one of the two monsters, most likely Godzilla, because they have killed Godzilla before. Actually, they killed his son, and they killed a son. Destroyer killed his son, so that has happened before. And Godzilla himself has supposedly died, and of course he's come back. But I could see that if they have Gigan Rex and Destroyer. All right, my chit chat here. I'm gonna go get our guest. I'm sure she's back there in backstage going like, "Will this guy shut up about Godzilla and get me on the show?" And so we shall. So please put your hands together for our guest, ConStance Steele.
Can you hear me?
I hear you perfect.
Cool. How are you this evening?
Good, good. I am going to make us a little bit bigger. Give me 1 second here.
Okay.
All right.
Better?
Better.
I'm so short.
Ta-da!
Ta-da.
How are you today?
I'm doing good. I had a good rehearsal.
Yeah, I always go on the show. I always go on the show about 15 minutes early, so I can just get everybody, can come on in and say hi, and I want to say hi to everybody else, and we have a little bit of audience for everybody to come in. So I got carried away talking about the new news about today because I'm a Godzilla fan.
Yeah. Who
Are,
wouldn't?
are you are you? I know now you've done horror films. I guess you could even because you consider do you consider yourself a screen queen?
I do. I've always, even before my first role, that's my personality, And my first cameo was as erotic thriller horror actress. So mixing the horror in with everything, I just really like that, and I do that with my music too.
Yeah, because I'm glad you said that because to me it's like most people I know that love horror films or and either as actors or directors or behind the scenes,
Right,
they're also pretty much science fiction fans too. They're it's like it's pretty rare to meet someone who likes science fiction but doesn't like horror or likes horror and doesn't like science fiction. It's
right.
almost one and the same. It's like music. It's like, well, I mean, I like rock and roll. Okay, that's awesome.
That's one sound.
I like southern rock. I like country rock. I like you like all the genres within.
Right.
Um, I'm sure that I'm sure deep down you're a proud Godzilla fan.
Oh, absolutely. I was raised on these things. They're just normal. Like October is all the time. Like that's just the kind of things that I'm into. Especially in these trying times. It's nice to find like comfort in things that you liked when you were a child, and to see them resurge or continue is the best to me.
I agree. I agree. I grew up on them too. And that's where I cut my fanboy teeth. I cut it watching Godzilla movies.
Right.
And Nanette says the same thing. She likes science fiction and horror movies. I think it's just hand in hand.
I
It's just
believe so. Yeah.
yep.
Yep.
Uh, so yeah, your background is extremely impressive, Constance. I mean, I looked
Thank
at you're a published poet. You've done recording. You're a live vocalist. I mean, now do you front your own band or do you get asked to come sing on records? Are you a slinger?
I'm a slinger. Well, I used to front my own band. It was called Out Loud. That was decades ago. Since then, I've did like different sit-in spots, and like right now, I can't say their names right now, but we're in the process of doing some really amazing things, like musically, and I'm impressed that by the people that asked me to join in. Like I'm really impressed to have that opportunity. So.
Let me explain to the folks what a slinger is. A slinger is a talented artist, like a guitarist or bass player, vocalist, a drummer, and they're brought in. They're brought in. They're called by the group that's doing the recording or the vocalist doing the recording, and they're invited in to sit in there like session players almost. But
Right. I welcome that. I welcome more of that.
they're the elite of the elite. I mean, when you want good vocals, you want a good vocal track laid down, a female vocal track laid down for a rock, for an album. You call someone like Costas to come on in there and lay that track down.
Right.
You hire so you're the elite of the elite. There's a lot of I don't think people really understand that a lot of times a band will come out there like the Rolling Stones. You watch
Right.
the Rolling Stones today, and it's like it's not the same four guys that started.
No, no,
You
no, not at all. Not at all.
know, uh, you see
That
them
applies
come
to so many different bands too. So many.
right. I mean, you see them come out now, and the thing is, though, they're not just the four guys. Well, now three. They're not the three of the four original guys. They
Right.
all they have their slingers with them. They have their session players with them. So
Right.
like, it's not just going to be the four. It's going to be like 10 players, and they're going
Right.
to be all behind. And they're going to be all playing different instruments, and it just makes the core band sound that much better.
I totally agree. That's the kind of things I have in the works coming up that I'm more excited about than I've been in years musically. Because they just it's not always about when you want them. You kind of have to take it as the universe gives it to you. If it's meant for you, it'll find you. For me, it seemed like a little later than sooner, but I'm usually busy with the acting of the other. So now they've all came in together, and I have a couple like walk-ons and just some amazing things, and a couple more movies coming out, and just stay busy with it.
Right. I mean, I mean, I know, as a, like I said, as a, someone who's come in and you lay down a track for another artist, I know the money is so much better than when you front your own band, but the satisfaction of fronting your own band, it's like, what's more important, the money or the creativity? And for the most part,
It's how long, I believe it is like where you are on your journey as to what's more important. Because before my own band, it was the world. I don't regret any of it because that's how you get to where you're going. And now I like being part of somebody else's vision, or when they tell me that I made their vision. It was nice to come out of my own box to see things from a different perspective. So I wound up learning things I didn't even know that I needed to learn, and that they're humbling. But I just love that. And usually it starts out as like a small favor for a huge band, and
right.
it always turns into a beautiful cameo, or it grows into something else. And that's the part I like. Like the way you
Uh,
can work your way up. Honestly, it can be done.
uh, who are some of the bands you've coming back and lent your vocals to?
Well, like I said, I did Out Loud, and that was over a decade ago before I got out here. And I can't say the two people I'm working with right now, but I will come back and talk to you like about that. Like
Okay.
I was in a couple different rock bands, and after fronting a band and then coming out here and humbling myself and becoming backup vocals for like a band maybe called Faded Sun and some other things I was involved in. You just see things from a different perspective. It really is different out west to the East Coast, and
It is.
I tend to stay true to where I come from. My beat's a little different. It's a little more Janis Joplin, and I tune in with the drummer more than as per se everything's written to the guitar players. So a lot of times I'll throw down the poetry. It'll turn into a good beat, and then I bring in the guns, I call it. Then I bring them into it because I've already laid it down with the drums. So I do things a little different, but that's okay. That's how I do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, you're not kidding. The West Coast sound, the West Coast way they do things is far different than what they do anywhere else.
Yes.
East Coast or in the South. Yeah, I think a lot of, I don't know about today because the landscape's changed so much. But back when I was doing music back in the 80s and the late 80s and throughout the 90s, man, I mean, LA, I mean, it was like, like everybody wanted to go there to be seen.
Right.
But Constance, I mean, how long have you lived in Los Angeles?
I think it's a lucky 13 years for me. It was
Um,
unexpected and
Yeah,
very unexpected. And when I came out here, it was from the East Coast. My husband was my drummer at the time. I'm single now. And we came out here, and just everything was so different. He was just suddenly, just life changed, and we both found ourselves on our own. So that's how long and then I landed a job doing all kind of stuff, everything from bitch work to all kinds of great stuff with Lemmy Kilmeister, Motorhead, and like that's my circle. So ah,
no.
it's
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
exciting how many different lives we live in one lifetime, but we don't even know that until they're already done. You're like, wow, I've been with all these different things, and they seem small, but you do small things with great love, and they're just as important.
oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, what's funny? It's like what someone would consider small, like hanging out and laying down a track for Lemmy or
Oh,
or
I
or,
wish
or,
I
or
laid a track for Lemmy, but I did work with him, like personally wise, and
Hi,
that was
traveler. I'm gonna say hi to the chat as we're talking. Uh, Hello, traveler. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Um, but yeah, well, and that's also par for the course too, right? I mean, good Lord, I have to say that too. A lot of times you see someone coming out to LA with
right,
bright lights and big city in their, like we can do this, we can conquer the world, and then
right.
Los Angeles comes and reality hits in, and yeah, unfortunately, a lot of marriages, a lot of friendships, a lot of especially in this business, they get fractured, uh,
They
and it's
do, but you can't break something that wasn't already broken. And the life just takes these amazing turns. I'm writing something now called Beautiful Demise, and it talks about these beautiful things that happen when you let go of control. like when I came out here, we won't use the dates, but when I came out here and I was doing major modeling, which I still do some, but that it was for all them things you just described. But when I came out this time and already had been around the block per se, I didn't need that same approval. So Hollywood didn't really change me. I just got to really express who I was, and not needing the approval, it just makes it so much more exciting, because if I like it and I'm happy, I'm doing the right thing. But if somebody else does, it's like it chokes me up.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see. I knew what back because I'm far older. Back in the day, I know that back when when before the internet hit. Now the internet has changed things. So
Yes.
you've only been out there 13 years. So
Yes.
you've been fortunate in some respects. You didn't have to go out there during those days to pay to play and watching.
Oh, we still have that, and I have
Oh
it.
yeah.
I had a long run for about 5 years ago with a band that I was with, and we would open for Lita Ford and amazing people like all of your radio stars. And if you don't act starstruck, they're your actual friends later. So the things you thought that you would report, you no longer can, because your loyalty to friendship. You
You
can't
still
tell
have
all
to
the
pay to
amazing
play.
stories, because it just wouldn't be the same. But they're still pay to play. And but I noticed out here at the West Coast, I have to give them credit. My new home, they stick together better. When I was back east and from New Hope, Pennsylvania, we did a lot of drudgery work, and it was a lot harder. I was more of like the garage queen. It was a lot harder because we didn't have the same kind of venues. Like right here, I go a block away, and I'm on the Sunset Strip, and I'm at the Whiskey, the Viper, Roxy, the Rainbow. And sometimes you're not even doing anything, and it's the off times that make for the big things. They just,
Mm-hmm.
that's how this happened to me. I was sitting there with Lemmy, and somebody asked me to do a favor, which wound up to be a favor for a clown, a Slipknot. And the next thing you know, I'm in love with doing theatrics and blood. And, then I wasn't going to do it, and he pushed it. And like I said, you go in for one thing and it becomes something bigger. And if you
Yeah,
enjoy it, like, isn't that living?
I
Yeah.
agree. I
Yeah.
agree. I mean, that is how it works. I got my start by helping a guy break down his club, breaking out his
Right.
sound equipment. That's how I got my start. So you've got a question for you, and yeah, I'll just feed you the questions as they come in.
Okay.
It says here, what was your inspiration for getting into the business? But let me go ahead and be a little bit more specific. What business did you do first? Were you a writer first, a singer first, or actress or model first? What did you
Well,
do first?
they just kind of all run together. I've been a writer all my life. I'm just a very creative person. My mom was an amazing singer, so I was always singing, doing arts. And then the modeling thing, I think that started about 14 or 15. And it was amazing. And, I gave it back later, but it was amazing. But I would say all the writing and the publishing, the published poets, because then I could secure my songwriting that way and be able to afford that, and knowing the words. So I went up with this amazing book and Paramount Award, and that it was all before I came out here. And you didn't really realize what you accomplished until you looked at it and said, "Hey, you know what I mean?" And as far as the acting, all my life.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's funny because it's a real close thing. A lot of people, they say, well, writing and actors, and well, I did a school play, but then I wrote a diary, and
Right.
so there you go. There you got both loves, and you can do that really really young, and then you
Yeah.
can start singing, like singing in church and what have you, and then next thing here you are, you're 12 or 13, and you're already a creative artist.
Right.
You're already on your way, and
Yep.
it doesn't hurt that your mom's a singer too.
Yeah, my mom was she was very interesting. A lot of things she didn't tell me were the same things that I were like growing up. Like my first modeling gig was on a Camaro, and I'm not going to say unfortunately, it was a beautiful experience, but that put me on the chart in my little town. What my mom never told me is that she was a pink lady and did all these things, and I would hear her sing. I would look at her memories of things that she did before I was in the picture. And when I would hear her sing it, it sounded like an angel, like in pain. She had her own kind of blues. So I learned to deal with things with through music at a really young age, and that's a beautiful thing. You always get an
Now,
answer this way because you have to in between the lines, as Stevie Nicks might say.
now, did you grow up in New Hope, Pennsylvania? Is it New Hope, Pennsylvania, right?
New
Now,
Hope, Pennsylvania.
did
I
you
uh,
how,
I grew
did
up
you
as a
go from
little
there?
kid in Mooresville. There's the slang, Mooresville, Pennsylvania. And then I moved up to New Hope and raised my son up there. I have one son. He's
Okay,
grown. And so I would do all that writing and all in between, which I feel my best thing I've ever done was be the best mom that I could. And I enjoyed all that quality time. And I would do the writing then. And it's a sense of like healing too from childhood or traumas and stuff like that. And that's how I did. Like when the next thing I look, I'm getting an award from Florence Henderson in Florida. And then I realized how much power words really had. So to choose them wisely.
yes. Now, you said you were a mom. So, now, what did you do? Did you perform before you became before you started your family? I mean,
I modeled
were you
before.
fronting
I
bands?
modeled and I didn't do much acting, just small hometown stuff then. Before I was
Right,
married, I did a lot of modeling. I did a lot of writing. I accomplished a lot that way. That was probably the best part of it.
right, right. Um, so now did you after you went to Morrisville,
My
and
yeah.
now where was your first time that you performed in public? What was your first performance in public? What did you
For
do?
music, probably was like fourth grade, fifth grade, and
Okay,
then I would do like the school acting, but I was terrified of it then. But it was fourth grade, and the song still chokes me up. This would be the day that I die. Bye bye American Pie, and the
right,
sound of
Tom.
silence.
Oh,
Yeah, and when I
you sang that song?
in the chorus and all, thinking like that would be the worst thing that could happen in the world is if there was no music. And I literally cried on stage like a big baby. But
Did you cover American Pie?
we did that song as a chorus. You know what I mean? But you had to fight. You had
Oh,
to
right,
fight that
right,
you could get up there for the opportunity. But that's
right.
the
Okay.
first time I ever felt like all the people that I feared out there or whatever. You didn't see them anyway. Just the lights and your own fear, and you either overcome it or you fail with witnesses.
Well, that's a hell of a song to do it at such a young age.
Yeah,
American Pie. Could you
I
imagine doing
welcome
that
doing
song
that again.
solo?
They're my favorite.
What's your favorite?
Like The Sound of Silence
Oh,
and Bye
right,
Bye
right.
American Pie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the 70s. Yeah, there's
yeah,
a lot. There's a lot of. I mean, there's a lot of good. Back then, it was like more focused on the lyrics, more
right.
than the
Carole
volume.
King and masters like this. So I had good people before me to lead the way.
Oh, there was some the 70s. As far as like a lot of the 70s, they looked at all the hard rock bands. You had bands like Boston and Journey and
Oh,
Foreigner and
good.
Styx and Led Zeppelin and what have you. Um, but I think a lot of people they tend to forget, that there are also a lot of good singers out there like Jim Croce, like you said, Carole King, Carly Simon, Simon and Garfunkel. I mean, there was a lot, and John Denver. It
All
seems
of
like
that.
recently there's been like I don't know if it's just me or what, but it seems like lately there seems to be a lot of interest again in John Denver, and he was a tremendous artist.
He was,
His
and
music
that's a
really
nice resurgence because like, just the way of the world. And
Uh, yeah,
everything's different. Music's different today, and I love it all in the different genres. But like when I was little, the '70s were before me. But I would hang with my mother's sister, and she would, you know what I mean, race cars and rock and roll. So I learned all these things, and a lot of people that I know now don't. They just don't share a lot of my same weird interests. I'm like all over the board with music. I could be listening to Judas Priest or Iron Maiden, and the next thing you know, I'm singing Carole King. You got a friend, just whatever hits me.
well, yeah, no, no, that's. I think it's just like an actor. A singer is a lot. It's a lot like acting. Singers. I mean, you got to be able to prepare to do anything. I mean, I know there's some vocalists out there that are just all their voices are trained for, or is like hard rock or punk rock or
Right.
and and you turn around and you sit there and ask them to do, you ask them to do, hey, can you do a ballad? And they look at you like you just asked them to give up their firstborn. But then
And
again,
I love that stuff, but I agree. I agree.
I think
Didn't
the
have
singers.
any of the benefits of any training or whatever. Mine was just straight, I call it old school, and that's how I dealt with things. And it just still works.
Yeah,
It's awesome to see people that, and I'm in a great rock and roll community, and the drive that people have, and it seems endless. And like I respect that they still care, and that there's not an age or a ticket saying that you must get over in this line. We can do whatever the hell we want, just if we believe in ourselves. That's it. Hurt no one, harm no one. You're doing good.
what's the music scene like out there in Los Angeles now, Constance? I mean,
A lot more
you have to.
covers than before. Because
It's
there's a
what?
lot of cover bands, but they've taken it to a whole nother level. You know what I mean?
Oh,
They're,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
living off this. They're not showing up.
yeah.
They're
You're right.
making it to live it.
Except the cover bands now they call them tribute bands.
Okay, yes. And like I'm from the East Coast, I'm like, I don't do covers. We don't
Uh,
do all that. And now I show up every Monday nights for Fast Times at the Whiskey Go Go, and it's all 80s. And it is very refreshing, and then so I said you can count your friends that show up on a Monday. So, we
it's
have a,
sort of,
we have a nice community.
I see some of these bands, like the cover, the tribute bands, tribute to Yes, tribute to Led Zeppelin, tribute to Kiss, tribute to whoever, and they dress up like the parts, and they go out there and they
I
sing
love
the
it.
songs, and hundreds of people will go out there and watch that. They'll pay the money to go out there and watch these tribute bands, and honestly, between you and me, I find that really sad. I find
Um,
it. I've
that's an
always
East Coast.
found it
That's
sad.
an East Coast thing because once you're out here, it's like I said, it's different. And I felt that way 10 years ago, but I don't anymore. I'm not ready to go Lounge Lizard and be Stevie Nicks in Las Vegas. I'd rather just be ConStance Steele and do all these little great things that I like to do. But a lot of people are making a really good living, and it's from something
Yeah.
that they love. That
Yeah,
is,
I just feel like if you have, I mean, if I asked you, what would you rather do? Would you rather, if they say, hey, we want you to be part of a Lita Ford tribute band, would you do that versus, someone saying, Constance, we want you to join this original band doing original music. What are
original
you
music all the way, because I
what,
would
what
like to be that cover that is covered later. You know what I mean? I'm all about the original. Yeah. And I wouldn't tell Lita Ford no on anything if she came through there.
no.
There's some little moments like that when you're at the Rainbow and Lita Ford opens the bathroom door for you, and you don't realize you're talking to one of your goddesses, that your muses from your childhood, and they're just awesome people. And it's a I don't know what word I'm looking for. Maybe
Lita
it's
could
not for
play.
everybody, but it's a nice community, a nice little spot in like West Hollywood, and stay out of
Um,
trouble, listen to rock and roll.
and I know it's going to be a really funny question to ask you, but I'll ask you anyway.
Uh,
But what's the radio situation out there? I mean, do you listen to commercial radio
I,
anymore,
I
or
do
do
not.
or
Don't
does
even,
anybody listen to commercial radio anymore?
I'm sure, but not that I'm aware of. I'm busy doing my own thing. Even when I was my original band Out Loud and East Coast, I listened to nothing at all because I didn't want it to influence me. And now it's just a different kind of thing. And I like the old rock and roll message. I think there should be more of it. I don't like just listening to the radio dance. It's all cool. It's wonderful. But I need the presence of rock and roll and some rebellion saying, yeah, no, that's not okay. And,
It's funny because I don't listen to commercial radio. Honest to God, Candace, I have not listened to commercial radio since I moved out here. 22 years, I have not listened to commercial radio. I've not commissioned, music radio. I listen to talk radio. I listen to a sports station. That's all I
right.
listen to. I don't listen to. I just I don't. But I will say this that and I think you can agree. But back before you got to LA in the 90s. Oh my gosh, you see so many bands come out to LA.
Oh,
So
yes.
many great bands would come out to LA, and they would get out there and they would just get they play showcases. Now
Right.
I'm sure you've been to a few showcases, label
Yeah,
showcases.
I used to throw them in the East Coast. Again, totally a different monster than out here. But yeah, it goes
Um,
on a lot. And at the Whiskey a Go Go, some of these showcases that you'll see, it'll be a tribute night, but the cream of the crop hit that stage and blow you away because you know them as original artists. So then when they get up there and you see what's motivated them, whether it be Elton John or whatever it is, that part I like.
you mean original bands have to wait a minute? Original bands when they do label showcases, they're playing covers.
Well, no, they don't have to, but at Whiskey a Go Go is one of the best places to go see like top talent. It's just it is. So when they're throwing a showcase, you know what's on that stage is the best of the best. It's
Okay.
just
Well,
the
you,
way.
you had me scared there for a minute. I'm like, wait a minute, what? Um, yeah, back then, they used to go out there, and the label guys used to be out there, and after a band would play their set, a lot of times a label guy will come over to the other band and sit there and say, yeah, well, you need to replace this player, or you need to replace your drummer, or your keyboards or whatnot. They would, and a lot of times by the time the band would get a chance to get signed or whatever,
Right.
there was a fractured relationship. A lot of bands came together. We came out of here from Kansas. Now we're out here in LA.
Yep.
Together we've been playing for 10 years together. You're my brother, and then you get out to LA, and some label guy says, yeah, well, you got to lose your keyboardist, and you do, because you
Yep.
want to make it. You want to make it.
Yep.
I just was wondering. I was wondering if they still have showcases like that. Are bands still driven that hard to get signed, or are they comfortable knowing that they can do it themselves now?
I think it's both. I think it depends where the musician is in their journey, because I see a lot of people doing it themselves, but I still see the youngins. I still see them coming out here and they're hungry, and it's nice to, you know, it's nice to remember that you can have a dream. It doesn't mean that you have to it's not really getting to the end. That's great, but you just got to enjoy the journey and try not to let it go to your head and kill you. Basically.
So after you came out there and you started, and man, it's just I mean, you don't have to answer this, of course, but what happened when you came out here together, you and your husband? Was he a musician as well, or was he an actor? What did you guys not, did you guys not? Was it just too different? Was it? Was it almost like a cultural shock? Do you think, Constance, when you got out there, that it just, it's like, wait, we're not really ready for this, and then your vision was different from his. Because you hear about that a lot when people come out to Los Angeles. Uh,
Right.
they come out together, like, whether it being a man or woman marriage like yourself, or a band coming out together by
Oh,
themselves. They come out there, and next thing because a band breakup is just almost like a divorce. You know that.
it is. I had both at the same time.
Oh,
It was living hell. My ex husband was my drummer.
God.
He holds a lot of music. I own the copyrights to the lyrics, and stuff. No doubt. He's out there somewhere, but he was amazing double bass protege. So we came out here thinking, we were going to take it easy from running our restaurants and plumbing companies and all these things that we did. And before we left, he said, I wasn't very good to you. Now, the old me would have put my coat on and said, who is it? I'm going to kick her ass. But at this part of my life, I didn't. And we came out here to what I thought was regroup.
Yeah.
That's not how it went. So it was a little more brutal than I would wish anybody to go
Yeah.
through. But
Yeah.
I'm not sitting on that swing in my beautiful house in New Hope thinking that these 23 years, that's a lot of time. So I'm glad that I know the person I want to swing on the porch with. I want to know that they really love me, Or I just myself and live life, somewhere there's a man running around with my last name. I never thought that through clearly. I'm not fond of it, but it is what it is. That was
Right.
like year 2000. And I was like, let me finally marry him. And he took my name and everybody was all shocked. So I've always done things my way. But I won't hurt somebody to get mine because I believe in karma strongly.
We do have a question for you, and this this is a good question to ask because it encompasses you all. It'll be interesting to see how you answer this. Our friend Kessler Garcia asked, "What has been the best work experience so far?" So we're covering your entire spectrum here. What has been your best? Not specific, but general. What was the, because you do so many different things. But what is, in fact, let me tweak that a little bit. What has been your three favorite work experiences?
My three favorite. Okay, not even knowing that I was already an actress and reading for it, thinking I can't do this and being accepted. So just that part was really good, and I would do small gigs all over. But my very favorite would be Motorhead, my rock and roll family, and how that music led into an acting opportunity for me that I never would have had. And it encompasses everything that I am, blood, sex, rock and roll,
Oh,
all the things together. So
right, right.
was that wrong?
Now, we do hope that there will be a book sometime down the line. Since you are a writer, I hope you are writing a book.
I am. It's called Beautiful Demise. You're gonna
Uh,
love it.
yeah, autobiography, of course.
Yes, yes.
Autobiography.
Yeah, how
Okay.
that part comes at the end because you're like, this is based on fiction, to keep you out of trouble. But
Right.
a definite East Coast, East to West rock and roll experience, and really talking, like reaching the people, because sometimes having and lost hurts more than never knowing at all. I know they say it goes the other way. I don't know about that for me personally, you know.
Right.
So
Um.
I really don't know how to answer that. So as I keep writing and I can sit there and just say thank you, and I am a good writer, and I
Well,
can
of course.
take like one word and just go off the cuff with it. And me and my ex drummer would always do that. And I'm like the word man from if you ever saw that story of Bon Jovi, was it? No. Oh, I forget now. Johnny and the Cruiser, Eddie and the Cruisers.
I
Ah,
remember those
yeah.
guys.
But it was about Seaside, and there was a word It was the Bruce Springsteen story, and then there was this guy there in the movie, and he was the word man, and they were trying to figure something out, and he just blurted it out, and his whole life changed, and he became the go-to guy, and that's a big influence of mine, like I'm just good like that. I take
Now,
pain, I keep turning it till it turns into something beautiful,
now
and
you're a published poetess too. But let
yes.
me ask you, what's more difficult to write, um, lyrics or poetry?
Well, to me, I call myself like a metal vocalist because I just love words and everything. What's harder to write? It depends if you're already running with the beat. As far as the songs, I enjoy that. But when I write the poems, they come so far from my heart. They change a million times before you ever get to actually say it because you get it all out and then you have to rewrap it and make it presentable and shorten all these things. And the process of that alone teaches you so much more about yourself. Like, like different petals on a rose until you get to the butt of it. So
Now,
I feel the poetry was harder actually.
oh, I was gonna say, I was gonna say, if I had to choose, I was gonna say poetry might be a little bit more difficult, but
Yeah,
you
I just
know,
had so much to get out, and that way it worked. Then eventually I had to get louder, Then that becomes my band Out Loud, where you would say things that they really didn't want girls to say yet, but you were going to do them anyway. It's politely,
that's right. That's
So
right.
what I
That's
do.
why. That's why when punk rock hit, when that sort of opened the doors for everybody. As far as be able to sing whatever lyrics they wanted to. I mean, you have
Yes.
female vocalists out there. I mean, out there,
Oh,
cussing and acting, and just blistering the lyrics.
yes.
And then I think that opened the door for I mean, country, they would sing about adultery and infidelity and all that, but they used to sing it so pretty, it's like,
Exactly. And if you play it
don't
backwards,
take
you
my,
get everything back.
it's like, don't take my man, Jolene. Dolly
Right.
was singing that way but over here, you got punk rock girls, going like, you take my man, I'm gonna kick your ass, and
I'm
it's a little bit
a
different.
little buff.
Uh, 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 We got
My
another
first
question
song
for
I
you.
ever sold was a country song, and I wound up with the Editor's Choice Award from Paramount. And I was at the hospital. My grandma had cancer, and I went outside and I found a four-leaf clover, but I kept finding them and I gave them to everybody in the ward, you know. But I saved all up except this one. So I sent it in and I got Editor's Choice. Was younger, so I didn't much like hearing somebody else sing my lyrics. I was just like, no. But
Oh,
it was a
right.
beautiful
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, that's probably yeah, that's hard too. I mean, to write lyrics for that's the one thing I don't like about country music, though I do think it's changed a little bit. But yeah, country singer would come in there and they sit them down there and then they say, here's 20 songs, sing the songs, tell me which one you like, and then
Right,
they put it on a record. Hi,
right.
Katie. We have a question for you from our friend Annette. She says, "Do you like to read? And if yes, what do you like to read?"
Do I like to read? Yes. Normally, unfortunately, I want to be honest, I'm busy reading scripts. And I like to read different, like dark poetry or something that I can't find in mainstream. That's what I like, you know. And I'm just more in the very Tarantino's and movies and behind the scenes. And that's probably sad. I can't say which is the last book that I read. I have it around the corner, but I just can't go grab it right now.
Yeah, I'm reading a book right now, really, and I'm like, wow, I'm reading a John Sanford book. Oh yeah, Bloody Genius. It's a mystery book.
Like, that's cool.
I haven't. I used to read voraciously when I was younger. Anything I could read, I read, and it seemed like I just took a big break between that. As far as reading books, I read
Yeah,
stuff on the
I that.
internet, but I never read anything on. I never read any books. But it
And if
seemed
I
like the
do,
last.
it'll be horror. It's just what it
Yeah,
is.
horror. I haven't read anything straight horror in a while. Now I'm reading just mysteries. I'm reading, or a little bit of science fiction, a little bit. Um,
Right.
but I mean, I still take a chance to read any chance I get. If I could,
Absolutely.
and especially here in Michigan. I mean, that's one thing you have to agree with. I bet you found yourself doing a lot more reading during the winter than you did during the summer in Pennsylvania.
Yes. Yeah, but, and then in the summer you're like taking in the sights and you're out there actually writing, you know, and
Right.
influenced by nature and all. That's
But
what I like about
winter time was made for book time. That's when I write. That's when we have snow here in Michigan. I'm going like, yeah, I'm not going anywhere today, so I'm just going to grab a book. I'm grabbing a book. I'm grabbing a blanket. I'm grabbing some coffee, and I'm
right.
reading. Right.
Nowadays you'd catch me grabbing a coffee, looking at the clock, and probably paging through Rolling Stones. Just that's about
Uh,
it. I'm just I don't always want to be so far like spread out on the board of the things that I do. So I don't try to overdo things, but it's just enough just to keep me on my toes and going. Like kung fu. Go ahead, Blondie. Kung Fu Slayers is coming out, and I'll be in that too. And that was from the original Chinese speaking vampires, which
okay.
I wound up doing that over COVID. I went in to be a vampire in a classroom, and I turned out looking like Buffy's mom, you know, and I became one of the Slayers, and it was great. And now I still work with these people, and they asked me to come back, and so life
Do,
just
do,
keeps
you,
taking
do
these
you
other
like? Do
turns.
you find yourself liking acting a little bit more than singing?
I find myself looking forward to the upcoming year where I can take all of my blood and my acting and my music and just shock rock it, but my way, like maybe how Stevie Nicks or Janis Joplin kind of. I'm bad on examples, but that's what I'm really looking forward to. Yes, I'm very turned on with the acting. There's so much more I want to accomplish. It's mine. If it's mine, like I said, it'll come to me, and I just enjoy it. But I relate everything to music. None of my friends are always like, "When are you going to do more music? When are you going to do more?" And I'm trying to explain that I'm enjoying the moments of like what I'm in. I wouldn't know that I like this if I didn't leave my comfort zone. Even
It's true though. People that do more music, but it's not that easy.
right,
Especially if you want to record or especially if you want to play. It's if you're an actor, it's to me, it's you're responsible for yourself. That's what you're responsible for. You are responsible for yourself. If someone sends you a script, you're responsible for reading it. If someone wants you to audition, you're the one that's responsible for getting your ass there and doing the audition or auditioning tape.
Exactly.
If you get the role and you get a location, you're responsible for that. But with a
Right.
band, you're dependent on everybody else.
Oh, and it
You're
hurts when
dependent,
it doesn't work, and
yeah,
over and over and over. It's like a divorce, and it rips your heart out every time. So that part of the journey I had was forced. That was forced away from me, and I didn't appreciate it. Now I'm okay with it. Now I prefer being like a solo artist. Like I said, I got a couple things in the mix with a couple of goddesses. The second one the other day invited me in, and it blew my mind. But I won't speak devil because it means that much to me, so I have to wait. But I'll be back with good news.
uh, so what was your first acting job? How did you get it?
My first acting job out here, I'm struggling, and it was audience work. And I walked in, I was on face plant, but I was like in the audience, and they like moved me up front and sat me with a different comedian and stuff like that. So it was that little interest there. My first real gig, that you actually get money for, not like little money sitting in the audience, was Officer Down, and I could play a cameo, and that experience changed my life, because you could look at it and go, that's not a big deal. Well, I know how long that 8 minutes took, weeks, months, and so many other people, but everybody has to do their part like an orchestra without a hitch. So there's a lot of hurry up and wait. Me being partially disabled, I like that part, I'm okay with it, but there's a lot of hurry up and wait. And then you have to go into your zone. At least I do. I go into a zone and I just run with it. I take all the experiences and apply them to that. And somehow I just work it out. And when I did my cameo for Officer Down, I kept moving my hands. They're like, you can't talk to Kim Coates, which is Officer Down, Kim Coates from Son of Anarchy.
Right,
So I wound up working like side by side with him. Like, he's the star, obviously. But I was
right.
like literally in all his shots because somebody wanted to be moved, some actress being petty. And long
Oh,
story short, I wound up in the middle spot, and Clown from Slipknot came out from behind the curtain and took the camera and was over my face and like shaking. I call it like an intellectual orgasm. He was just shaking, and then as I was dying out, how obvious, how ironic that I played a wife dead in LA, but I did such a good job. As I was doing that, I didn't close my eyes, and I remember focusing in on all that pain and the light on the ceiling, and it just did something, and it gave me a moment. And when it was done, he said, "Can I get your picture? You gave me my vision." And I never knew how that felt before. It was pretty cool.
it was pretty cool. I actually watched that movie. I watched that. I think that was Corey Taylor. That was
Yes.
yes, that was Corey Taylor's
It
project.
was a
Yeah.
remake of a Bill Cassidy comedy, like all this weird stuff. And you think Deadpool had something to offer? Y'all have to check out Officer Down. To me, I love my weird life, and I'm honored that happened for me that way, because I wasn't looking for the gig. I'm just getting by acting like, okay, I'm happy. I'm not divorced and stranded. I can do this, because if you are sad, you'll get pushed away in LA. So I'm just holding it up and hanging with Lemmy. And I
Right.
was not with casting or anything. And a makeup artist came in, and she said, if you do this favor for me, I'll owe you for the rest of my life. And I wasn't going to do it. And Lemmy sent me in the car, and I was supposed to be a dead biker chick on the wall. And it turned into like 8 bloody body shots. And I would sit up and put them away in between the scenes. And I did it as respectfully as I could. And if somebody wants to judge that as a whole personality,
No, no, it was your first it was your first set.
I
You
love
were,
it. That's when
yeah,
I found out I was an erotic thriller horror actress. Like when they told me that, I was like, what did I just do? But it was wonderful. And I loved the experience because it turned on a different part of me that I never had. I would put everything in the music. And this gave me, like you said, a different outlet without anybody else disappointing me. It was on me. If I failed, it was me. But there's no such thing as failure. You just try and you keep going. That's how we learn. But I
uh,
aced it. Of course, I love it. I want so much more of it.
now after that was over, what did you do next? Did you Did you take acting classes? Did you go ahead, or did you go back to singing? Or
Well, I always did the singing. We always doing like little spots and jumping in with our friends and all. Did I go to classes? No, I didn't. I just took what I had, and they said, "Are you an experienced actress?" And I said, "Yes," because I was married for how long, and I did it very well.
oh,
And I was very loyal. But I'm saying you don't realize their experience, but when you're trying to be this perfect wife or the good wife and this perfect mom, and you are showing your best. So you just
yeah,
turn
yeah,
it
you are.
on. So
How long?
and then the first role they asked me to read was for domestic abuse and all. I was like, this isn't acting, sadly. And then I said, I didn't come here for this. And she said, well, you got it. Like, people are
um,
strange.
how
People are
old?
strange with you.
How long were you married, Constance?
I was with this person for 23 years of my life. He tried out for my band many years ago, and he was really good. I thought everything was fine. And like I said, he just said I wasn't very good to you, and you didn't realize that you've changed. And I was like, wow, damn, I'm really happy with myself and everything right now. And I was shocked by that. And once
Well,
in a while, my mind will
why
go,
do people honestly? Why do people? I've heard that too. I've heard that too. People will come up there and say, "You've changed," and it's like the and I think the answer to everybody, if they're honest with each other, is, "Wow, you've changed," and it's like, yeah. Why
yeah, I
wouldn't
hope
I?
so.
Yeah, why wouldn't I? Isn't that
Yeah.
what we're supposed to be doing? What I mean, did you expect me to be the same person I was 20 years ago? Because that would be sad. I mean,
That would be sad. I'm glad that it was the way that it was. I say that to people, you would have loved my crazier self, because they're like, you're so quiet. No, I already did that. I want to go out this way.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one good thing about being experienced. That's a word. Let me explain. That's a key word for saying slightly older. That's one good thing about being
Thanks,
experienced, is
bitch.
that you've lived through a life, and you don't have to. I mean, you don't have to live that life. When someone says, "Hey, let's go out there and party hard," and you go like, "Yeah, I've already done that." Let's go hang out till the sunset, till
I'd rather
sunrise.
be playing with
Yeah,
my digital
yeah,
art.
yeah. It's like, okay, that might work for you, but I've already been there, done that. I'm good sitting here reading the book, or talking to my friends, or writing, or watching a movie or something like that. Let's go party. I've already done that. Don't need to do it anymore.
No, I
You know?
I aced that. That's how I got. That's how
Yeah,
I got here. I got my
right.
off times like Mondays and support my friends or whatever, and I appreciate the time. But I don't want to do that every day. I want to just grow, not for approval, just for myself. You know.
Sure.
So when somebody looks back, they can say, "This was the one." This was the one. She broke generational curses. She did what she pleased, but she didn't hurt nobody to do it. To me, for some reason, that's real important.
Yes. Yes. Now, before we go back to the acting question, I do want to go back and cover a couple of things with your poetry. Now, you are not just a poet, but okay, I want to ask you this though. What was more scarier to you? The first time you got on public singing, or the first time you got on stage to read one of your poetry pieces?
The poetry. I tried
Hell
thinking
yeah.
in my head the
Hell yes.
Partridge Family. Was it the Brady Bunch? And they're like just pictures of them in their underwear, and I have Florence Henderson in the room, and I was shaking. But like as the metalhead I am, my hair was a lot longer and was always in my face, so I could do this and rock out. So yes, reading the public speaking.
Oh yeah, that
It
is
was
rough.
horrible.
That's
It,
rough.
it was. I
And the thing about
respect
it is,
people
though,
that can do that perfectly.
it's like, you can come out there, and I've seen this. I actually read poetry myself. I believe it or not. It's not that very well, but I did it just because I wanted to try it. But
Right.
I would see some super talented poets. I mean, we're talking like just
Rock
really good,
stars.
really good.
Yeah.
And holy shit, at least 20% of them had to be freaking smashed before they could go out there and read their poetry. They would come
Yeah.
over to the bar. They'd come over to the bar. At the club I was at. I do poetry night, and I'd be bartending, and they would come over, and they would have to get halfway snockered before they get up there and read their poems. And the thing is, though, you look at them going like, why do you feel like you need to get known to do that?
Jim
Because
Morrison.
your words are so amazing.
Right.
But it's and the thing about the rock and roll thing is, it's like when you go out on stage and you got a crowd there, they're already going to be into you already. You know, hey, it's out loud, hell yeah, you know,
Yeah.
you bang your head. Poetry, you walk out to an audience like this,
Right.
you know, impress me, you know,
Yeah.
thrill me, and that's a tough nugget.
Even when I did my first reading, I remember I couldn't lose like the song part of it, and I'm just looking at the crowd, and I'm like, the stories are endless, the straw is very short, things to abuse without a second thought, and realized I was singing my song as slow as I possibly could to recite my poetry, you know.
Right.
And so that's what I like. I love to do that. Walk up to the mic and throw down one of my, top 20. And it leaves a lot of different generation. I'm like, did you like that? They're like, that was really dark. But that's life, right? That's how we get here.
Do you still? Please tell me you do this. Please tell me, because I would be very sad if not. But you still do read, right? You still go to poetry readings, right?
Not too much, but there's poetry in my life all the time. That's what I do. You know what I mean? I was just looking at a thing for the Poetry Society, and like online with a couple different places, like pages, Alan Golden and stuff like that. You'll get a shout out, and it's just a community of poets. Like I'm in groups like that.
Right.
I established a couple friendships, but I wasn't there for that. I like when that's what I do. And he'll put up a picture. Like I said, I'm the word man. So they'll put up a picture, and then you write your take on it, and then they'll pick the best poem and stuff like that. So I do that online. And like I said, I like to do the open mics with my metal poetry. So I'm just slamming my words down with no band, and I do it that way. Nothing's traditional with me, and I don't see why it's just an open mic. How many writing's called Genius. So.
How many poems have you had published so far, Constance?
Probably about 18.
Yeah, nice.
And it's been a minute, but like I said, I would do that too, being the good wife. And I would be able to copyright all my songs that I'm writing, and as you're being a mom and all going, wow, I could have been a rock star. Oh, I'm going to get to do that later again. That's wonderful, So then I wind up owning the lyrics, and that means a lot to me, It just does. That's what I do.
Echo. Our good friend Echo isn't here. I think that's I don't know what that is, but I think it's because I think getting a poem published, I think it's harder for a poem to get published than it is a short story.
I don't know. I'm working on one of them too.
I've known both. Novelist and poet in poetry.
Right.
As far as a novel goes, that's the hardest. But I'm talking about just a short. But between a short story, write 1,000-word short story versus versus maybe like a 60, 75-word poem, to publish. I think that the poetry is hardest. It's hard because there's there's a lot of good poets out there.
Yeah,
there's a lot of good poets. And maybe it's writing. Maybe they're not as good poets as far as open mics go. Open mics is a whole different animal. Like I said, you've seen good poets go out there and crash and burn.
But I go up straight. I'm that person younger. I do any of my stuff. It's all work to me, and I don't get fucked up beforehand at all. It's just not. I want to give my best. I don't. One's the lifestyle, and one's what you cherish. So.
Our friend Annette says, "Constance, you are an inspiration. I love your story and your life and everything you did and are doing."
Thank you.
Well, I mean, everybody knows that I do bring top drawer guests to the show. I always bring the most interesting people. That's for sure. I have to sit there and say that I do. I really am happy that I bring some of the most fun people on here. That's for sure.
Thank you. I'm honored. Just that
Um,
when I was
oh,
invited, I was like, this is
I'm honored.
awesome.
I mean, I'm always the one that's honored. I'm like, I can't believe I get to talk to these people. They actually want to come out here and hang out with us for a little bit and talk. And it's always
It's a
every
big
show.
thing. It's because when I go to the Rainbow, it's just part of the whole community. That's how I bumped into Lemmy after this because I was sitting in his seat. So I'm kind of like the friendliest antisocial chick you might possibly ever meet, and I think I'm funny. Sometimes I don't, maybe I'm not, but I'm always silly as hell. And I just think I'm funny.
I would have liked to have met Lemmy.
He
I
was
would have liked to.
amazing. I learned a lot from his silence.
I mean, I would have liked to have met him. I met a lot of rock stars, but I would have liked to have met Lemmy.
He's so
Um,
monumental. Literally, there's monuments of him all around the world. And, and I have English in me, in my I'm Hungarian, I'm English, Irish, Gypsy, but I didn't learn so much about myself until I came out here and all the people that would come in here with mad levels of love for Lemmy from England. And I'm sitting there one day and somebody goes, cunt. And I was like, don't you say that to me. That all East Coast. And they kept saying it to me till that I was comfortable with it because where you live, the zip code matters as far as what it means. But I never saw like Lemmy for president, I would say. I never saw such a great following and family as I did through the Motorhead stuff. I never saw loyalty like that in anything else in my life. And I'm impressed. Like we have a monument for him at the Rainbow, which is a rock and roll pizza place,
right, right.
Yeah, and
Um,
I love Lemmy's Lounge. Like he just lives on. I'm hoping to get the chance to let's bring this to the universe. I want to sing with Lemmy's hologram. So we'll see if I can manifest.
oh, wow,
I
yeah.
love that. I've been waiting my whole life to do stuff like that.
That is sort of you know what though? I don't do you find that sort of weird though?
I like weird.
I don't
I'm a
know. I don't know.
spiritual horticulturalist. Like I do well with energies and I like rap sage and
I've seen
crystals and
those
all that
holographs.
stuff.
I mean, I've seen those holographs. I think they did it with Freddie Mercury, and it was like they tune it on, and then there he is, and I think they did it with Michael Jackson too. But
Yeah.
I remember for sure seeing the one with Freddie Mercury, and I'm sitting there watching the holograph, and he's singing, and I'm going like, I mean, I had mixed emotions. It was like, yeah, it was sort of cool, but at the same, it was sort of weird. It was like.
But that's where the good stuff starts, the unexpected. You feel things you don't know you would have. I would
I mean,
love
you're
it.
sitting there. I mean, you're sitting there on stage. You're looking over there, and your cool singer is sitting over there, and it's a holograph.
Right.
It's just a little bit strange. You definitely, you probably it'll almost be like reading some open mic poetry.
Oh, amazing levels. Like, yeah, I want to do stuff like with Joplin and stuff like that. I remember because I would always go to Trump Towers in Atlantic City, and he always gave me the Demi Moore suite. It was fun. So I was in the amusement thing at Steele's Pier with my son, and I saw these little tiny holograms in the dome. And I remember looking at that. You just made me remember that, knowing that, I wish I was in that dome jamming with them.
Right.
And I'm like, someday, you know what I mean? I want to get my Judy Jetson on, I swear.
So after you did Officer Down, which is out on Magnet, which is the offshoot of Magnolia, which you can get that movie. I Officer Down. I like Kim Coates.
Oh, it's amazing.
Kim Coates he's a badass.
He is. He's the first person, like when I sat in there, like in the makeup and everything, and with the union chicks, we got a little bit of a hard time because I was just, me. But it was him that I sat with and watched the transformation. So to be this close with him and it was amazing. He's just so freaking talented. So I would key in. He saw me fidgeting and I'm thinking, I'm surviving out here in LA. I make jewelry because Lemmy inspired me. So I'm trying to put my hand in the spot to sell my jewelry. And he saw me. I'm thinking ahead, So he sees me fidgeting and he stops everything. And he goes, hold up. And he tells me where to put my hand and then looks at everybody and goes, now I can act.
Oh.
And that's how we became friends on set or whatever, It was awesome, dude. It was so awesome.
Let's see. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Celine Dion sang with a hologram of Frank Sinatra at an award show.
No,
It's still weird though.
I
It's
would love to do it. You know, like, and here's the weird part. Like, maybe some of the people that have passed away in our life that we used to jam with. Like, I would love that. You know,
right. I mean,
like I
yeah.
would
I mean,
bring it
when
to
it's done
you.
right, when it's done right. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I could see that, and it does help the younger generation. I mean, a lot of the younger generation they can't relate to somebody like Frank Sinatra, or somebody like
God.
that because he's they like isn't that something my grandparents used to listen to? So they
Yeah,
really
the
don't
good
understand
stuff.
how they don't understand how good he really was. But you bring a hologram onto the stage and the vocalist, and yeah, you can sit there and say, okay, I get an idea of what he was like, and hopefully that launches you into learning more about the artist. So I
I
guess there's
like that.
there's pros and cons. There's pros and cons for sure.
Right.
What was your second movie that you got to work on?
My second movie, I did some post production for Southern Decadence. Sorry about that. I forgot I was on camera for Southern Decadence, but it was Chinese speaking vampires because it takes a few years for each movie, like all said and done.
Right. Yeah.
And,
Is
and then
that
I
is
worked
that
on
what you
the
did that surprise you to find out when? Because a lot of people when they first start out, they go like, I'm gonna shoot a movie," and you get out there and you shoot your movie, and then you go like, "Okay,
when
when's it coming out?" People come up there and say, "Oh, so when's it coming out? When's Officer Down coming out? When's it coming out?" And you go like, I don't know. I just shot it. Like I was talking about this before you came on. I was saying how they just got done filming Godzilla versus Kong, and
right,
Godzilla and Kong. They finished principal photography today or this year.
right,
They're gonna go next year and they're gonna work on all the special effects of the whole damn movie. They're gonna spend
right.
the whole. It's not gonna come out until 2024.
Oh, you know it.
So
You know how
and,
hard it is, especially for me. I was a novice then, just waiting to see because no one's sending you like here it is, and you're okay through the 2 years. You're wondering, am I going to have a bad profile shot? Like, did I do this and that? And you hold all that. You learn how to hold all that until it finally comes out. And my next one I was in, and that's still working on was Warriors. I always say that wrong. It's like Warriors, but Warriors for a Deborah Dutch, which was a Playboy Bunny and another amazing woman. So I'm in her stuff, and I play a badass biker in that. And then in between the two, I played in a movie called Kane, which it was creepy. It was good. It was downtown. Pretty, it was a new experience.
so I mean, what do you particularly what do you like about acting? I mean, what are the things you enjoy about it most?
I enjoy the opportunity to always do something bigger, without like I don't always bank on casting or getting in a line. Like if I'm involved with something, I won't go do too much because I always tend to anyway. But that's what I like, just the opportunity of doing better, where someone's not really running down all my credentials. Like if I made it to that set, I already been judged. Now I just had to stay there. You know what I mean? And to me, that's where the magic happens. It's not always in what you apply for, because there's so many people that have had schooling and all these things, and then there's Aussies and people that have niches, and I kind of fall in there somewhere.
Right. No,
And I
you're
like it,
right.
so what more is there?
You're right. I mean, that's yeah. What did you do? You audition now, Constance? I mean, do you audition for parts with do you self tape and send them in, or do you just rely on word of mouth?
No, no, no. I do both. I lost my mother last November, so just between what I have going on, I didn't go do too many. I got a couple like weird little gigs, like panties and stuff like that. But the one I have been sending in for that I have a lot of interest in because I'm looking into the future. I would like to do a lot of voiceovers because I have like a couple voices and stuff. So like very rugrat and stuff like that. So I've been sending in things like that lately. It's my
Okay.
new little niche,
Yeah,
voiceover.
voiceover acting is it's pretty booming right now.
And you can do it remote. Like I bought a little piece of land, just the land. You have to keep trying. And the world got weird in COVID, so I bought a little piece of land by Mount Shasta, But
Okay.
that's fine, and it'll be a long run. But I have to be able to remotely still do my thing. But I'll never like. Look, I'll always have a small place in LA. This is my home. I miss New
Yeah,
Hope a lot, and I do go visit there a little bit. But this is my home. Just the opportunities and all that come to you humbly is a different one than getting in that line and fighting for it. I don't know how to explain it really. So I'm just blessed that I don't wake up and depend on it. But I'm happy every time I get one, or
right,
my friends
right.
have a magazine, Anarchy, and when they put me in there and stuff like that, it's that sense of family. I get that band sense through these things.
And you still do modeling too, don't you?
I do. I do. I do. I just did a jewelry shoot that'll be coming out probably in a few months, and it was like a collaboration too. So as what started out as just some jewelry pieces and hair pieces that I do, I wound up collaborating. So like I said, you get like the small things with big love, and when people see that, like that you're genuine, something genuine gets offered back to you. You know.
Right. Now, is your son a creative as well? Is he a musician or an actor or a writer?
My son was very creative. I sent him to school in Cleveland, Ohio for broadcasting. And because he grew up with me, he was like that little band baby, right? He aced it. He used to have a radio show called like Love and Hate and stuff like that. Now he is with his wife and 2 kids.
Oh,
and just doing family stuff. So
right. Sure,
yeah.
sure. So, what's next for you? What are you going to be doing? What's your next 2 or 3 projects you got on the books that you're going to be doing for sure?
2 music projects with some goddesses, which I'll report back with that. I am working on Kung Fu Fighters, Kung Fu Slayers, and that's the retake. That's the recap of Chinese speaking vampires, because we sent that off during the COVID. It was real hard with the name, because at first it was called America First Chinese speaking vampires or whatever. So we
Okay.
had controversy with that, but it was cool. So Bushi me you are. Go to hell, not without love, before I would kill them. Little things like that was fun. And they kept saying, you have to look mean. You look like you're enjoying this. I said, but I am. They're like, stop
Yeah.
smiling. I was like, I'm from West Hollywood. You want me to wrinkle on purpose? I'm organic. I can't do So they would keep coming at me, get uglier, and then when I would see them close up, you have to like them too,
Right. Right.
it's part of it. I just look, it was like Sharon Stone level worthy, and I was like, wow. But they had to like push it out of me. So like I say, you go in to do something small and then you leave with something bigger, which empowers you to go get something even bigger. My goal is just to do what I'm doing. I just want to maintain happiness in this crazy world. I used to have where I was supposed to be and all these things, and I felt that I'd done them, and they didn't work out like I was told they would anyway. So here we are.
Our Echo says that he might have a copy of Chinese speaking vampires.
That's awesome. Yes. I
Oh,
look like Buffy's mom,
it must have come out on ITN or the Asylum, Echo. Oh, that would be way too cool. If he's got a copy, we'll have him review it.
Oh, right. That's cool. And I go to like meetings with all them people that I met there. Like I've just like leveled up in other ways, and other talents were recognized. And I really like that opportunity, because someday maybe I want to produce, and direct, and I just want to keep growing. Just live.
Right, right, right. He says, I think it's the one I've talked about. Oh, that's right. That's right. The guy gave you a bunch of movies to it. Gave you a bunch of movies. Oh, yeah. People don't understand that. You know what? People don't understand that. Uh, our friend Echo, he got a bunch of movies from somebody. Somebody gave him a bunch of movies,
Right.
and they gave them to him for free, and he was going through them, and it's like because sometimes this happens, like when I go movie hunting too. It's
Right.
like sometimes I'll open up a disc, and you can tell the person who owned it before the person who owned it before was a smoker, because you can open up and it just reeks of cigarettes.
Oh,
Like, oh,
not here. We just reek of cannabis.
Yeah, I mean, well, cannabis would be one thing, but cigarette smoke is just disgusting.
It
So
is.
you just put it back, and people don't realize that when they smoke, if they have like a room where they have all their music or their movies or whatever, it's like they smoke in there. It all sticks on it.
It
So if you give
does.
it away, if you give it away, the smell goes with it.
It does. I noticed that. I've noticed that. And you walk in and you're like, I never knew it was this bad until you're away from it. And then you're like, wow. Like,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
try not to be stuck up about it. But if somebody's having a cigarette, I'm not saying I never did, but like they're just no good for you. I don't want it near my hair or anything where I leave it in the towel. And because like you said, that stank goes with you.
It
The
does.
nicotine's pretty nasty like this.
Echo says he might have gotten that at a Dollar Tree. Well, there you go. That's
Well,
the other
thanks a
thing too. Well,
I'll
oh
tell
gosh,
Davey.
you
He'll
kidding?
love that.
Oh no, you kidding me? Oh, you know what? The Dollar Tree okay, most of the people inside of our chat,
Mhm.
Constance, they're all movie guys. They're all movie. They're all girls and guys. They're
Right,
all fans. We all collect movies. We
right,
all collect. So we have physical media. So we
right.
have that. So and movies cost a lot of money.
They do.
So when they go on sale at the Dollar Tree and you're able to get a movie for $1 or $1.25,
Yeah.
hell yeah! If Chinese speaking vampires are sitting right there for $1.25,
Give
I'm
me
buying
one.
I'm buying it.
Right,
I'm buying it.
right. Like my last one, Officer Dan, I gave to my friend Brooke and David. They were over, and I had it like on the wall, and I have more put away, But I was honored to do that, and I was like, wait a minute, I just got to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
I'll be honest with you. That's where I got my copy of Officer Down at. I got it at a Dollar Tree.
oh wow.
Yeah, Magnolia did it. They released a lot of they released, but you know what though?
But that
What's
was a
that?
lot.
What
That
would
was a
you?
lot into that.
But what would you rather have? Would you rather have 50,000 copies of the movie in a warehouse,
No.
or would you rather have 50,000 copies being sold at a Dollar Tree, being
I think
exposed
I
to
would rather them
50,000
get to
people?
where they're supposed to get to and
Right. I mean, I know,
inspire the
I
next
know.
person.
I mean, I know, everybody involved in the movie got paid, so
Right,
they made their money back or what have you. So that's
right.
maybe not the producers, but as far as the actors and the cast and crew or whatever, they got paid.
Yep,
And so to me, it's like it's 50,000 units out there. And if they get sold and they get put in people's houses and they share it and they go like, hey, let's go watch. It's movie night. Let's go. I got this movie to show you, Officer Down. And then
right.
they expose it to 3 or 4 people, and then they're going like, well, "Who's that blonde in there? Oh, I'm gonna go learn about ConStance Steele." They
That's
type in their
awesome.
name. There you go. It's incredible. It's
And watching
incredible.
that movie come to play taught me a lot too. Like there's so much even more than I even thought there would be putting one together. Like just being through the Officer Down one, I just learned so much. Like how much he really went through, and like people really putting their soul out there.
Oh
Like for
yeah,
sound to run from behind the screen, like, and I'm told Slipknot and all that when he ran from behind the screen like that, and I'm thinking, what I do wrong? And then he's just over me, and he like took it out of professionals' hands and shot it himself because they weren't, they weren't
right.
getting what he wanted.
Yeah.
So he
They weren't
shot it
doing it. They
himself. His
weren't doing
cameo
it.
shot by Clown, and I love that.
Yeah.
He said,
Um.
"You'll always have work when I do." So,
Well, that's
Clint, I
awesome.
could use some new work.
Uh, we will let them know that.
Yes,
Constance, I want to thank you for coming out and hanging out
thank
with us
you.
today. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to get together with you in a minute, and we're going to get all your social media contacts and put it in the description box.
Okay.
And to the chat, thank you so much for coming out and supporting our show tonight. I really do appreciate it. It's been fun, and I'm so happy we're ending the week on a high note.
Yes.
Um, and let me tell you what's coming up. Because we got shows next week. I gotta tell people about our shows. So next week we have 4 shows. We have 4 on the 15th of November, next Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. 2:30 Eastern time. We have our friend Gareth from Video Tasties who will be with us. He is from the UK and he'll be coming over at 2:30 p.m. 8 o'clock, we will having Ashley Sledge from Sledgehammer Horror, and she will be coming out and hanging out with us on Tuesday night at 8 p.m. And then next Wednesday on the 16th, we have our friend Brenda, aka Possum Mom. Brenda is a possum rehabber.
Oh,
She rescues possums and she rescues possums. She does educational tours about possums and yeah, she's a really lovely lady, and so we'll be meeting her and her crew next on the 16th, and we'll
right.
be talking about what's it like rescuing a possum versus rescuing a dog or a cat.
Okay.
And then on the 17th of November, we will be talking to fast rising film director Brendan Slago. Brendan will be talking about his new movie coming out this month, Battle of Saipan, featuring Louis Mandylor and Casper Van Dien. And we'll also be talking about his other films that he has done, including House of Manson and The Attack of the Unknown and Crossbreed, which feature for the very first time, historically speaking, where in Hollywood portrayed a black woman as president, and that got a lot of good press. Well, how could you not have good press? You put Vivica A. Fox as president? Yes, please. I'm down for that.
Yeah.
So hell yeah. I'm like when I saw that, I'm like, there's gonna be they're gonna portray a black woman as president for the first time in a movie, and then I'm like, oh okay, that's cool. And then I'm like,
It is.
well, you wonder who it's gonna be, and then it's like Vivica A. Fox, and you're going like, of course it is, because who else could do it? Who else can do it? There's nobody else out there.
Right.
What about Viola Davis? I like Viola Davis, but Vivica A. Fox as president? Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
So that will be going on all next week here on 8 Questions with. I'll put all Constance information down in the description box down below, and you can follow her on Instagram and where else are you at? I know you're on Facebook, but where else are you?
Facebook and Instagram is a good spot. Besides, like where my credentials and all are, but
Yep, movie database page. I'll just put that up there.
yeah.
And yep. So stay right where you're at, Candace, and to everybody else. At 10:15, the midnight hour, I do believe it'll be on Katie's channel today. So Katie popping the popcorn's channel for the midnight hour at 10:15. All right. I'll see you guys on Sunday night.